Let's take a look at this first problem. I want to solve this by the substitution method. I'll eventually get there. Okay, there we go. And so, first problem. We got x plus 2y is equal to 5. And y is equal to 4x minus 2. Okay, substitution method. Step 1. We want to solve one of the equations for one of the variables. I'll pick the second equation. It doesn't matter which one you pick. This one's easiest to pick because it's already solved for y. So that step's done. Step 2. We now want to plug what we found here into the other equation. We just said that y is equal to 4x minus 2, so we're going to replace the y in the other equation with 4x minus 2. So we're going to have x plus 2 times 4x minus 2 equals 5. So again, this one solved for y, and I replaced the y in the other equation with the 4x minus 2. And now we want to solve it. 2 times 4x gives us 8x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, equals 5. Always combining the like terms. X plus 8x is 9x. And minus 4 equals 5. I'm going to take that negative 4 over to the right side. And we get 9x is equal to 5 plus 4. Anytime you take anything across your equals, your sign changes. Combine the numbers in a step. 5 plus 4 is 9. And then divide both sides by the number in front of your x, which is 9. And 9 divided by 9 gives us x equals 1. Step 3. Now take this value we just found, plug it into our equation from step 1. It's always a perfect equation because it'll always be solved for the other variable. We just said that x is equal to 1, so we're going to put 1 in for the x. So we get 4 times 1 is 4 minus 2, or y is equal to 2. And we write our answer in point form, so ordered pairs. So that'd be 1, 2 is our answer. Okay, so the solution is 1, 2. Okay, next question. Now we want to solve this one using elimination. So we got 12x minus 2y equals 0. And we got negative 17x minus 4y equals 41. Well, with the elimination, we want to eliminate one of the variables, either the x's or the y's. I got 12 and 17 here. I can't think of a harder one to work with, so I'm going to work with the y's. Now, in order for them to be eliminated, if this is a negative 4y, then we want this one to be a positive 4y. They have to be the same number, but the sign's different. Well, if you look at this and you try to think, okay, how do I get a positive 4y here? You think, what do you multiply it by? Well, I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 2. Now, we focus strictly on this, but then we have to multiply everything by the negative 2. Negative 2 times 12x gives us negative 24x. Negative 2 times negative 2y gives us a positive 4y. And negative 2 times 0 is 0. And then the second equation just carries down. Okay, now we're ready to add them. Negative 24x, negative 17x gives us negative 41x. 4y minus 4y goes away. And 0 plus 41 is 41. And then notice our y's are eliminated. That was our goal. So we're going to solve for x. So we'll divide both sides by the number in front of our x, which is negative 41. And we get x equals 41 divided by negative 41 is negative 1. Now we're going to plug that back into one of our equations. It doesn't matter which one, whichever one you think's easiest. First one looks a little simpler to me, So I'm plugging in 12x minus 2y equals 0. We just said that x is equal to negative 1, so we're going to replace the x here with negative 1. Minus 2y equals 0. 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. Minus 2y equals 0. I'm going to take the negative 2y and move it to the right side. You move anything across your equals, your sign changes, so it becomes a positive 2y. And then divide both sides by 2. And we get y is equal to negative 6. And we'll write this in point form, ordered pairs. So I got negative 1, negative 6 as our answer. So negative 1, negative 6. And next question. Add the polynomials. Okay, so problem number 3. I got negative 4a squared plus 5a minus 3 plus 2a squared minus 5a plus 6. First off, we want to get rid of the parentheses. These first set of parentheses aren't doing anything, so we got negative 4a squared plus 5a minus 3. And the second set of parentheses isn't doing anything, so we can drop it. So we got 2a squared minus 5a plus 6. Now adding polynomials together just means adding together like terms. Like terms, same variable to the same power. Here's an a squared, and here's an a squared. And we'll add or subtract the numbers that are in front. In this case, negative 4 plus 2 gives us negative 2a squared. Here's an a, and here's an a. And 5a minus 5a cancels away, so that's gone. And then here's a negative 3, and here's a positive 6, which gives us a plus 3. And that's our answer. So negative 2a squared. So I come here, do negative 2a, and I did a caret to get that. But you can also, plus 3. You can also do your exponent from over here. Okay, so I'm going to say next question. And this one, I want to subtract the polynomials. So we got 7x squared minus 7x minus 5 minus negative 2x squared plus 2x plus 9. And want to subtract these. Well, first thing we'll do is get rid of parentheses. The first set of parentheses doesn't do anything, so I'll just drop it. So we got 7x squared minus 7x minus 5. Now, if you have a negative out in front of your parentheses, this is going to flip the sign of everything inside. So flip the sign of that, of this, and of this. So this negative 2x squared becomes a positive 2x squared. This positive 2x becomes a negative 2x. And this positive 9 becomes a negative 9. Now we're just going to combine together like terms. Here's an x squared, there's an x squared. 7 plus 2 gives us 9x squared. Here's an x, here's an x. Negative 7x, negative 2x is negative 9x. And here's a negative 5, and here's a negative 9. That gives us negative 14. So that would be our answer. 9x squared minus 9x minus 14. Next question. And want to simplify this one. So we got negative 5x y to the 7th z to the 3rd raised to the 4th power. Now, if everything inside of your parentheses is either multiplication or division, and you're raising the parentheses to a power, then you can take everything inside to the power. Well, everything inside here is either multiplication or division. We got negative 5 times x times y to the 7th times z to the 3rd. They should call this the distributive property of exponents, but we're going to take the negative 5 to the 4th power, the x to the 4th power, the y to the 7th 4th power, and the z to the 3rd to the 4th power. Okay, so we're going to have negative 5 to the 4th. We'll have x to the 4th. I don't know what in the world I was. Let's try it again. Okay. We'll have y to the 7th to the 4th power, and we'll have z to the 3rd to the 4th power. Well, negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, times another negative 5 is negative 125, times another negative 5 gives us 625. X to the 4th power is just x to the 4th. Now, y to the 7th raised to the 4th power. Remember, when you're raising one exponent to another exponent, you multiply them together. 7 times 4 is 28. And over here, 3 times 4 is 12. And that would be our answer. Okay, so I got 625, x to the 4th, y to the 28th, z to the 12th. Let's see if that's right. Okay, yeah, I guess I typed it in correctly. And next question. Okay, these they want us to multiply together. So we got y minus 4 times y plus 8. Since this is 2 terms times 2 terms, you could FOIL it if you want. I'm going to use a line method that I show in class. I'm going to take my first term here, this y, multiply it times the y over here, and times the 8. And I'll take my second term, the negative 4, and multiply it times the y and times the positive 8. Okay, so we're going to have y times y, our first. We'll have y times 8, our outer. We'll have negative 4 times y, our inner. And negative 4 times 8, our last. And I'm just following my lines to see what to multiply together. Y times y is y squared. Y times 8 is 8y. Negative 4 times y is negative 4y, and negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. Which gives us y squared. 8y minus 4y is 4y minus 32. And that's our answer. So I got y squared plus 4y minus 32. And next question. Okay, let me start a new page. This is problem number 7. We got 2p plus 1 squared. And I said it should be called a distributive property of exponents. If everything inside your parentheses is either multiplication or division and you're raising it to a power, you can take everything to that power. Well, we have addition in here. We have 2p plus 1. So not everything's multiplication and division. You cannot take the 2p and 1 to the second power. On this one, you actually have to write it out this way. 2p plus 1 times 2p plus 1. Now we're going to take our first term, the 2p, and we'll multiply it times each term over here, times the 2p and times the 1. And then we're going to take our second term, this positive 1, multiply it times the 2p and times the positive 1 over there. 2p times 2p gives us 4p squared. 2p times 1 is 2p. 1 times 2p is 2p, and 1 times 1 is 1. And always combine together like terms. 2p plus 2p gives us 4p plus 1. And that's our answer. So 4p squared plus 4p plus 1. And next question. Okay. This is problem number 8. We got 35 a squared b to the negative 8 over 7 a to the negative 9 b to the negative 6. Now we never want negative exponents. So first thing before we do anything is we're going to take the parts with the negative exponent opposite where they are in a fraction. For example, this b to the negative 8, I'm going to take down to the denominator. This b to the negative 6, I'm going to take up on top, the numerator. And this a to the negative 9, I'm going to take up on top. Okay, so I got 35 a squared, and we took the a to the negative 9 up on top. When you move something opposite of where it's at in a fraction, the sign of the exponent changes. So it becomes a to the positive 9. Now down here, we also got b to the negative 6 up there. Well, that becomes b to the positive 6. So again, the a to the negative 9 becomes a to the positive 9. The b to the negative 6 becomes b to the positive 6. Now the b to the negative 8 we're taking down below, so it becomes b to the positive 8. Okay, well, let's handle our a's first. A squared times a to the 9th. When you got a to a power times a to a power, you add the exponents. 2 plus 9 gives us 11. So we're going to have a to the 11th, b to the 6, over 7, b to the 8th. Now number-wise, I look at 35 and 7. They're both divisible by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So we're left with 5a to the 11th, b to the 6, over b to the 8th. The 1 can just drop away since we had the b to the 8th down there. Now we have b to a power over b to a power. We're going to subtract a smaller exponent from a larger one. So we got 8 minus 6 gives us 2. And we're going to have b to this power, b to the second power where our larger exponent was, which is on the bottom. So we're going to have 5a to the 11th over b squared. And that's our answer. Okay, fraction 5a to the 11th b squared. And next question. This tells us to use long division. Let me start a new page. Okay, so we're going to have x minus, this is, what problem is this? Number 9. We're going to have x minus 4, x to the third, minus 8x squared, plus 15x, plus 4. Now we look at the first term of each, decide what to put up on top. You're asking yourself what times x gives you x to the third, and that's x squared. Now whatever you put up on top, you're going to multiply by what's on front. So we're going to take x squared times x minus 4. X squared times x is x to the third. X squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. So we got x to the third minus 4x squared. Now we're going to subtract that line, which means flip signs. So this becomes negative, this becomes positive. X to the third minus x to the third drops away. Negative 8x squared plus 4x squared gives us negative 4x squared. And then I'll bring down everything else. And then we repeat the process. We look at the first term of each, decide what to put up on top. You ask yourself what times x gives you negative 4x squared, and that'd be negative 4x. Now whatever you put up on top, you're going to multiply by what's on front. So I'm going to take negative 4x times x minus 4. Negative 4x times x is negative 4x squared. Negative 4x times negative 4 gives you a positive 16x. Now we're going to subtract that line, which means flip signs. So this one becomes positive, this one becomes negative. Negative 4x squared plus 4x squared drops away. 15x minus 16x is negative x plus 4. And then again, we look at the first term of each, decide what to put up on top. You ask yourself what times x gives you negative x, and that's negative 1. Whatever you put up on top, you multiply by what's on in front. So I got negative 1 times x minus 4, which gives us negative 1x or negative x. Negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. Now we're going to subtract that line, which means flip signs. So this becomes positive, this becomes negative. Negative x plus x drops away. 4 minus 4 is 0. And this would be our answer. So, oops. So we got x squared minus 4x minus 1. And next question. Divide using synthetic division. Okay, so we got x to the third minus 45x plus 60 divided by x minus 6. Okay, step 1. Synthetic division, your first step is to set what you're dividing by equal to 0 and solve it. So we got x minus 6 equal to 0, and solve it, and we get x equals 6. Step 2. Take the number we just found, put it in a box in the upper left-hand corner. So I take that 6, and I put it in a box right here. Identify our largest power. Our largest power is x to the third, so real small. I'm going to write x to the third, x squared, x, and no x. You do not want to write those big at all. And we're going to write down the numbers in front of them. Well, there's an invisible 1 in front of the x to the third. There is no x squared, so that's 0. The x is negative 45, and the no x, our constant term, is 60. Now we will go through a series of adding, multiplying over and over until we're done. Starting our first column here, we got 1 plus nothing, which gives us 1. That was our add. Now we want to multiply. You always multiply by number in the box, by number you just put down here. So I'll take 6 times 1 gives us 6, and put it here. That was our multiply. Now we want to add. 0 plus 6 is 6. Now we want to multiply. You always multiply by number in the box, by number you put down here. 6 times 6 is 36. Then we want to add. Negative 45 plus 36 is negative 9? Yeah, negative 9. Then we want to multiply. 6 times negative 9 gives us negative 54. And then we want to add. 60 minus 54 is 6. Now this was x to the third. This will be 1 degree lower. So this will be x squared. This will be x. This will be our no x. And this will be our remainder. So our answer is going to be x squared plus 6x minus 9 plus we take our remainder over what we're dividing by. I'm assuming. I didn't read the instructions to see what form they're looking for, but they don't say. Okay, so we got x squared plus 6x minus 9 plus, and then fraction form, I'll put the 6 over what we're dividing by, which is x minus 6. Let's see how I did. Submit the test. And 100%. Okay, that looks good.